Hello. My specific area of expertise is musculoskeletal or kind of sports medicine, if you will.
Today, we are going to discuss stem cell therapy, BMX racing, and four-cross with Neven Steinmetz of Factory Fall Risk Racing.
Hello.
Neven, what's up?
Hi.
Introduce yourself, give a little background outside of BMX.
Okay. So my name is Neven Steinmetz, and I currently live just outside of Boulder, Colorado, and race for Factory Fall Risk Racing. But when I'm not riding my bike, I spend the majority of my time thinking about stem cells. A cell that its fate hasn't yet been decided.
Why is it so important, and what are the long-term benefits of it?
With the stem cells, you mean?
With the stem cells and
Yep.
even the therapy.
Really, I think the most important thing is that, we all basically have the capacity to heal ourselves. We just need a little bit of help. And so we need that help by taking either the stem cells or the blood with the platelets in it out of the body, concentrating it, and then putting it in the hands of very, very talented physicians who know exactly where to place it. And they know that because, A, they're trained, but they use imaging, right? They use x-rays, they use ultrasound. So when I say they know where to place it, they literally are watching exactly where they're placing these products that have stem cells in them so that they are able to help these people heal. And so what stem cells can do is, under the right guidance from a very trained physician, is they can precisely place your own stem cells after they've been concentrated outside of your body into that exact location where you have that ACL tear. And by doing that, your body is able then to take your own stem cells, which have been concentrated, and actually regenerate that torn ligament. So we would take those cells and try and engineer polymers to be able to recreate the bone and then the interface in between bone and cartilage called the osteochondral interface, and then cartilage on the other side. So I spent about 5 years working on that. PhD projects are always glacially moving. They never move very rapidly, but made some good progress. And during that time, it allowed me actually to pursue a career in pro mountain biking, which would be difficult if you had a quote unquote normal job. So I kind of did that concurrently from about 2006 to 2011, working on stem cells by day and and mountain biking by weekend.
So I got my start in four-cross, which is actually pretty similar to BMX in that it's a gated event, but it's on a mountain bike. And there's only 4 people, that's four-cross. But I actually spent a lot of time at the BMX track, probably almost 15 years before I ever got on a BMX bike. So I would go to practice my gates on my four-cross bike, which is often a dirt jumper or a very small travel mountain bike. So I spent a ton of time. The cadence is the same. Everything about that is the same. It's just a very different style of racing. So four-cross was big jumps and roots, and the berms were, bigger and whatnot. So the transition for me to come to BMX wasn't crazy. And a lot of the women I race against are like, you've only been racing for 3 years, and I have. I've only been racing BMX for 3 years, but I've been racing gated racing for quite a long time. So I'm still learning how to race BMX and all the tactics and the maneuvers on the track, because that's all very different. But just the concept of being in the gate with people next to you and bumping elbows, that's not foreign to me. So it's been a learning transition, just how to maneuver in turns and the different tactics on the track. The races are a bit shorter than they were in four-cross, but luckily these tracks are very smooth for BMX, and there's no rocks or roots trying to come out and grab your ankles.
injuries that, can benefit from a BMX injury that could benefit would be, someone falls, tears their rotator cuff, especially as we have more and more younger people needing, whether it's a knee replacement or a hip replacement due to potentially injuries in sports, whether it's BMX or football or baseball or basketball, whatever the sport might be, soccer. We have younger athletes who have beat their bodies up so badly that they are looking at, I have a woman that I race with who she's in the 41 to 45 women's cruisers category, and, she's been told she needs a partial knee replacement. That blows my mind. I'm like, you absolutely can't get a partial knee replacement. You're too young and too active. And so these types of therapies they're not going to magically just grow you new cartilage. And anyone that claims that is crazy. It takes time. It's not magic. It doesn't happen overnight. It still takes 2 to 3 months for that healing process to happen, but you're able to avoid a surgery.
The Yard is Arizona's prime destination to find marble, quartzite, quartz, and granite for all your renovation project needs. We sell direct to the public. All of our stone is pictured and put online with prices at theyardaz.com. Stop by to experience our 5-star customer service. We look forward to seeing you.
What attracted you to BMX racing?
Yeah, so I retired from racing for cross in 2011. I had about a 5 or 6 year pro career there. And then I just kind of took some time off. I moved to Scotland to work for about 2.5 years. And when I moved back, I just kind of still had that itch to race. But I knew I didn't want to race mountain bikes anymore. I'm not really a cross-country person. And I had raced downhill previously, and that just beats your body up too bad. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to race. I tried a little bit of velodrome track racing when I was in Scotland, which I really liked. But over here, the tracks are all outside, and it's a very clicky environment, and so it really wasn't for me. And so then a friend of mine got me into BMX, and I would go to the track with him and ride my dirt jumper. And at some point, he was like, you should buy a BMX bike. You maybe would want to race BMX. I'm thinking, I don't know. They're pretty small. There's no suspension. And he's like, you can buy a new bike for like $500. It won't be nice, but it'll get the job done. And so I was like, all right, because mountain bikes are like $5,000. So I bought a bike and did 3 local races, showed up at the Vegas National, I want to say in 2018, walked up to the trailer, met Mara, and said, how do I qualify for Worlds? And she was like, well, you go to a qualifier, you make a main, and that's what you got to do. So I set my sights on that, and Baku, Azerbaijan, I'm on my way.
This is where you were introduced to Greg Mathias and Falls Racing,
Yep.
correct? So how did that happen?
So I showed up at Baku in Azerbaijan for World, and I didn't know anyone. I probably knew 5 people in BMX. But that's kind of been always my MO, is just, solo on her own adventure. So that wasn't a big deal, but I'm in these, the USA team pits, and I've been to Worlds for mountain biking 4 times, so the Worlds concept wasn't new, but the concept of having so many racers with me was really cool. So I'm just kind of sitting there minding my own business, and Greg was there with another guy, Josh Shipp, and so Greg's pretty shy, I'm kind of shy, but Josh is not, and so he made the point of introducing us all together, and I came back from my first round of racing, and I had crashed. The girl next to me kind of like got squirrely and took me down, and I came back and I just like did this because I was so dirty, and dust went everywhere. And Greg was like, at the end of the weekend, he's like, you know what? I think you are a perfect candidate to be on our team. All this racing. And I said, great, I don't have a team. And so ever since, I've been on the team with Greg. I